Hi and welcome back to the Nordic Watch channel. I'm Anders from Finland and today I'm going to review and share my thoughts on the Vario Empire Seasons True GMT. First off, big thanks to Ivan from Vario for sending this over to me and also letting me keep it after the review. Rest assured that even though this watch was gifted to me, I have complete freedom in what to tell you about the watch. I would never agree to a review with limitations on what to tell my viewers. A big hats off to Vario for genuinely believing in their product and allowing full honesty in their marketing. I think that's a pretty good indicator already on what you're about to get, looking from a consumer's perspective. I've now worn this watch for over a month since getting it, and I think this has been enough time for me to generate some valid opinions on it. This was my first time handling a Vario watch in the metal, even though I have been familiar with the brand for years. And also I own a few of their leather straps from before. I quite like Vario as a brand because they're quite different from most micro brands. All their watches are pretty unique and stick out from the micro brand masses. I see a lot of micro brands, for example, trying to make safe bets with regards to their watch models, but I feel like Vario does their own thing entirely, taking heavy influence from specific historic eras and creating something original. You get all your proof on this by just having a look at their watch lineup on their website. There are quite a few models, each having their own character and not a single diver in sight, at least by the time of recording this video. The Vario Empire Seasons True GMT lineup consists of 4 different color options representing the 4 seasons of the year: winter, autumn, spring and summer. The watch I'm reviewing is the autumn version, which boasts a striking salmon dial. They're all limited editions, 90 pieces of the winter and autumn models and 60 for the spring and summer ones. So if you end up wanting to buy one, you better be quick rather than slow. Now this might be in order to manage risks, since the watch model is the most expensive one Vario has made to date, to my knowledge. The prices are $698 by the time of recording, and there might be added taxes depending on where you live. The watches are made in Japan and come with a 2-year international warranty according to Vario's website. You might notice that the price is a considerable hike from the previous Empire models. This is due to several factors. First off, there's a Miyota 9075 GMT movement. It also comes with a metal bracelet in addition to the soft leather strap. The watch is also made in Japan and the manufacturing has quite a few custom parts, which of course ramps up the costs of production. Instead of a watch box, the watch is delivered in a travel case, which I think is genius because then you don't have all the extra boxes lying around and you actually get something useful. Now let's dig into more details. The watch comes in very user-friendly dimensions with a diameter of 38mm and a 46mm lug to lug. It's right at the sweet spot for me personally. I think 38mm is one of the best diameters as it's suitable for smaller wrists while still not being too small for larger wristed fellas. The thickness is 12mm, which is nicely proportional to the other dimensions, especially while housing that true GMT movement. The lug width is 20mm, which is also a very watch enthusiast friendly strap size. The leather strap that comes with the watch tapers from 20mm down to 16, which makes for a nice elegant look, and the metal bracelet seems to taper from 20mm to 18 or so. On the leather strap it weighs 76 grams, on the bracelet sized for my wrist it's 128 and with all the links it's 146 grams. The case is quite unique when you take a closer look at it. The vertically brushed sides have some interesting shapes around the lugs. Apparently this step, or what you might call it, is a homage to the design of the Empire State Building, which is also what the etching on the case back resembles, hence also the word Empire in the watch model name. It makes the lugs look like they are separate from the case, but they are in fact part of the same piece of metal. The lugs also have drilled lug holes, which make strap changes easier. The 3 o'clock crown is shaped like an onion and provides a good grip while still being quite petite. My attention to detail would love for the crown to be in the middle of the side of the case, though not down by the edge like it is. That would then again make the crown more difficult to grip, so there's that. The rest of the case is polished, which gives the watch a nice overall look in my opinion. Now moving on to the main attraction of this watch, which of course is the dial. I'll start off by saying there's a lot going on with the dial, and it's quite like nothing I've ever seen before. There's some beautiful symmetry going on despite the complexity of the design. First and foremost, there is a very beautiful salmon color throughout. The overall design is a sector dial which was popular in the 1920s and 30s. The inner sector has a striking guilloche pattern, and then surrounding it is a black anthracite ring for the 24 hours of the GMT hand. Every second hour on that ring is numbered and the rest are represented by dots. Moving outward, the rest of the dial is this kind of striped sector dial, which also has every other hour numbered, and every other one is represented by a black line, which splits the dial into 6 sectors. I think the numbers themselves are beautifully designed in the Art Deco style. It would be interesting to see the numbers on the GMT ring in the same Art Deco style instead of the more sterile style they have now. But that might also look over the top. I think this maintains a nice and clean aesthetic. Furthest to the edge of the dial there is a minute track, which the long minute hand nicely points to. No date window on the dial, which I feel is the right choice by Vario. It would just clutter up the dial and destroy the nice symmetry in this otherwise complex design. Now let's talk more about the hands. But before that I want to do a test to showcase the legibility of the dial and hands layout. So I'll show you a quick glimpse of the dial and I want you to try and read the time before the watch disappears again. Okay, here we go. Time's up. Were you able to read the time? Let me know in the comments below. Okay, so that was just a fun experiment I wanted to try to see how you would feel about the legibility of the watch. I personally found it a bit difficult for at least the first week or so, and I think there are quite a few factors in play that cause this. First of all, I feel that the hour hand is a little bit too short. Right now it hits the GMT sector of the dial, and for me it draws my gaze to the numbers on the GMT sector instead of the hour markings outward of it. It doesn't help that the hour hand is almost the same color as the dark sectors, so it also disappears there a little bit. I quite like the GMT hand, but I find it interesting that the GMT pointer is the only loomed thing on the whole watch. I don't know if there's any point in that, might as well be unloomed like the rest of the dial, in my opinion. Overall, I think that the skeletonized hands look very good, but just some fine-tuning would be needed to make them perfect. The second big problem for me is that the 6 sector lines look very similar to both the minute hand and especially the seconds hand. This just makes for a very disorienting package if you're trying to take a quick look and see what time it is. That being said, you do get used to it, and after wearing this for a month or so, I've learned to read the time no problem. It's still a bit of a shame since I feel that the watch looks great overall, and with just a few small tweaks it could be so much better. But maybe this watch is not about legibility anyways. If that's what you're looking for, maybe get a SIN 556. This watch is more about a nice Art Deco design, which I think it definitely delivers. And it looks so nice that you don't really mind looking at it for a few extra seconds to read the time. The dial is protected by a flat sapphire crystal which has some anti-reflective coating on the inner side. Now, that's the way to do it in my opinion, since AR coating on the outer side tends to scratch easily, which kind of defeats the purpose of a sapphire crystal if you ask me. As an illustration of that, here's the AR coated sapphire on my Zin, and as you can see it's quite scratched up since the AR coating isn't as durable as the sapphire crystal itself. Now let's talk about the movement. The watch is powered by a Miyota 9075 GMT movement, and Vario was actually one of the first brands to get access to this movement, which is pretty cool. It's a 24 joule hacking and hand winding Japanese made automatic with a high beat rate of 28,800 beats per hour, giving a smooth sweep for the seconds hand. Miyota is a big brand in the movements industry and is owned by Citizen Watch. Their movements are widely used in a vast variety of watches, and I'm pretty sure your average watchmaker is also able to repair these movements. The Miyota 9075 is a so-called True GMT movement, and here's how you use it. Pulling the crown out all the way hacks the movement. As you can see, the second hand stops, and then you can adjust the GMT hand and the minutes hand. Pulling the crown only to the first detent, you can then adjust the jumping hour hand to change time zones. This is really cool and works like a charm when changing time zones. I've actually never had an automatic GMT watch before, and this has been really fun for my layovers at work working as a pilot. The only gripe I have with this movement is the classic issue that I usually have with Miyota movements, which is the single directional winding. If you make quick movements, the rotor might start turning like crazy in the non-winding direction, which makes quite a noise, and also you can feel the centrifugal force moving the watch slightly back and forth on your wrist, which is a bit annoying in my opinion. Like I already mentioned, the watch comes with both a metal bracelet as well as with a nice soft grain leather strap. Vario makes some great leather straps and I have like 6 of them already. I can genuinely recommend Vario's straps as a separate purchase also. Unlike many other leather straps, this one doesn't require any breaking in. It's nice and soft from the get-go. The metal bracelet is made to look like a 7-link bracelet, but it's in fact made of single solid links, which is interesting. Good use of brushing and polishing to pull that illusion off in my opinion. If it were actually a 7-link bracelet, I bet it would be a lot more fluid feeling like this vintage Beads of Rice bracelet on this Seiko Seahorse, but it's still quite nice. It feels solid. The clasp is a hidden butterfly clasp, and even though I mainly dislike butterfly clasps such as this one, the bracelet does come with half links luckily to help you get a better fit on the wrist. Butterfly clasps, to my knowledge, usually or always lack micro adjustments, which is a bummer in itself. All in all, the bracelet looks nice enough, but it did feel quite rough around the edges when I was removing links to size it. Some of the push pins were quite difficult to get out. But after having it adjusted and also getting a good fit by using the half link, it doesn't feel half bad. First, I was thrilled to see that they had included quick release spring bars in the bracelet end links, which was a first for me. However, I did find it very challenging to use these, which was a bit of a disappointment after the initial thrill. I ended up needing to use a tool to attach the bracelet anyway, so I guess the drilled lug holes come in handy after all. That being said, the end links are nice and offer a snug fit with the lugs, which gives a good feeling about the quality. But then again, this is also a $700 watch, so it should be good. I think it looks good on both alternatives, but maybe a leather strap complements and contrasts the striking dial more, and the metal bracelet dials it down a bit. The other straps shown here are also by Vario. Be sure to check out their straps on their website, link down in the video description. This dial is a fun color to play around with regarding strap combinations, and I think it goes well with quite a few different straps. Size-wise, this Vario is quite similar to my Seiko Zarb 033 and my Sin 556A. Even though the lighter dial maybe makes it look just a bit larger, still right up my alley, the perfect size for my 6.5-inch wrist or 16.5 centimeter wrist. But that's pretty much all I have for you in this review. I've spent a good amount of time with this watch and I feel I have told you everything that comes to mind about it. All in all, I think it's a really cool and fun little watch. It feels like a proper quality watch which it also should, given its relatively high price tag of $698. Now, whether or not you should get one comes down to what you like. I think I have pointed out both the biggest upsides as well as the most notable downsides. I hope you have found this video useful, and I hope it helps you make your decision. Please like and subscribe if you found it useful, and also go check me out on Instagram at Nordic Watch Channel. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.